Hi, and welcome to the Backyard Road Trips podcast. I'm Zach.
I'm Jim.
So what exactly makes a backyard road trip great? Quote Tim Lawless.
No, not quote Tim Lawless. Tim Lawless wanted us to talk about what makes a great backyard. And
if it's mowed, maybe?
We'll do that at a different episode.
Yeah.
But I think the point is made is that what makes a great backyard road trip.
Yeah. So I thought he meant, because I mean, Tim and Jim, they rhyme. They're two of a kind, two peas in a pod.
Mm-hmm.
Ernie and Bert, shall we say? They sleep in separate beds.
Usually, yeah.
Yes. Yep. One has a B and one has an E on their bedside. So, Jim's texting me what Tim's saying, and I thought it was backyard road trip. What makes it great? I was like, well, everything, of course, it's backyard road trips, thinking. But, well, yeah, so what makes a backyard road trip great? So kind of analyzing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a good segue, because I was thinking about writing an article about the planning stages. Like if you're going on even vacation, like what do you do to get ready for it, especially bringing a family and so forth, because there's a lot of work that goes. It's not just like, hey, grab your stick and your polka dotted rag and put it on your shoulder. Like rest in peace, Pee Wee Herman. Yeah. That one hit hard. That one hit hard.
Pee Wee is too young, too long to use.
I couldn't believe he was 70 though. I thought he would be younger. Honestly, that one really. What did you think about Pee Wee?
I didn't mind the controversy around.
No, I mean like when were you upset by him?
Pee Wee's Playhouse.
I love Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Big Large March fan. Yeah. It's cool that he remained that character for so many years. Mm-hmm. So tip one out to Pee Wee.
Rest in pieces.
So, what makes the backyard road trip enjoyable? What do you think, Jim?
All right, so in the sense of it being a backyard road trip,
what do you think of the Abomination, by the way?
I don't love it.
Too boozy for me.
I'm not a big fan.
He ain't heavy. He's my brother, but he is heavy on this one, and I
like Rufus's version of that. By the way,
I've never heard it.
It was in a Zoolander.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, Zach and I are continuing drinking, as our listeners know.
We didn't even get to the last
podcasts.
Yeah.
I know we're gonna keep on going.
Yeah.
But anyway,
there's some Frangelico from 1974 in that cabinet. If you want any about any of that.
I'm driving, so I'm gonna have to hang on to it.
I can Uber you.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
What makes a backyard road trip enjoyable?
Yeah. So obviously we've come to this understanding that like life is different with kids.
Oh, sure. So
some part of it I'm identifying as a factor or the ratio of enjoyment to access.
Yeah.
So like
totally.
if I'm only spending a half hour there, but it takes me an hour to get there, it's probably not
worth
that.
It?
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know. So there's got to be some ratio of how long it takes me to get there. I'm going to spend at least that much time hanging out
over the album.
I'm very violent when I've been drinking.
You're talking.
My hand movements, my gestures.
A gut rot setting in.
Yeah. So, all right. So there's that.
Yeah.
And then also trying to like make sure that Teddy will find it interesting.
Yeah.
Which has been tricky for me lately because there's things that I want to check. We were talking about last episode. I want to check out these sand dunes, but like, Teddy's not going to care about that, and it's a long drive. But
that's what's tough. It's always like that risk, the high risk, high reward type thing. Yep. And sometimes you never know. And at the same time, I feel like a backyard road trip, literally, maybe not to your backyard, but to somewhere super mundane in your own town, has very, very high reward if the kids get into it.
Right.
Because you're making your own, they're making their own fun and you're having fun because of it, which is, it's a completely different mindset. I mean, one great example I have for that is our buddy Luke, right? Yeah. Tip one out for Luke too. Yeah. So saw Luke the other day.
How is he?
Doing well. And he's at Cape Cod vacationing as he is right at this moment.
Nice.
And I was hanging out with him. I said, I have this day I can do it because I was heading down here. And I said, but the trick is I have to leave by 3:30 because at 4:30, Jackie was going out with a friend for dinner. I said it to Luke on text, the AARP special, even though they're not AARP age yet.
Yeah, it's the time.
But here is a friend of mine who really enjoyed going out and socializing for a long time.
Mind if I kill this?
You please,
Thanks.
yeah. Oh, it's a cat. Don't talk about killing cats, right? So just put it in the closet for a while and it should be okay. So anyways, so she was a big, she'd go out a lot.
Yeah.
Social individual. They had to have dinner at 4:30 and be back by 6 because that's when, she had her deal with her husband. She was coming back home. Talk about adjustment, right?
Yeah.
4:30? I mean, 4:30. Some people call that
80? Yeah.
Yeah, like was happy hour maybe. But so I'm just talking about adjustments with kids. So that's
yep. Yep.
So how do you make it enjoyable? You're out with Teddy Ruxpin and
on the weekends it's Teddy and I's time, and I want to try and find things that's going to be somewhat mutually enjoyable for at least it's got to be a little bit for me because
toy store.
I try to do outside stuff when we can, or something he's going to find engaging. So something that I've been doing over the summer, which I may do my second blog post.
Oh, cool. Yeah, please.
Is a review of we found a bunch of playgrounds.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and finding
that's a great idea.
Some of the cool stuff. I've been keeping like a list of like what's great about them, what's not great, and
the needles in the metal glass bottles.
The needles in the trash that the kids can get to play with, free needles. Yeah. It's great. Yep. So that's been really fun. So we've been like, a couple times a month we're going out and we're checking out some new playgrounds.
You doing you said Windsor, but what's
Windsor was our most recent one. That was just it happened to be Windsor's it's very pretty. I loved it. I've never been.
I don't know much Windsor except for the Air Museum.
Yeah. Me neither. I was actually just up the road from
East Windsor,
Buckland Hills Mall.
Okay, we went. Yeah. I used to go there, take a little.
So we went there. We went to there was a very cool playground I've been looking to check out
in the Buckland Hills Mall.
Yeah, actually, they've got some stuff it's good for indoor. If it's a rainy day or cool.
Yeah, it's a big mall, right?
Yeah. We'll go to the malls, but yeah, this place was cool. Had a really neat playground. But it had a lot of things for a lot of people to do. So like you had kids that skateboarded. There's a skate park. There's a big paved trail to walk around. We ended up doing a boardwalk hike not too far from there.
Yeah.
I think boardwalk. It's got one of the longest boardwalks in the state. So Teddy's favorite playground has been this place in West Hartford.
High class.
Joshua's, that's why. I think it's called Joshua's Dream, something like that. But he asked, we only went one time, and after we went to 3 other places.
Yeah.
And he still asked for it.
My kids love Ocean Beach. Yeah, but
Ocean Beach is so expensive.
$35.
It's great. Have you gone lately this summer?
We went last summer. And we went at night. It's like $20 a car.
That's stupid.
And then it's $10 per person for golf. And then you have ice cream and rides. It's going to be like a $200 night tomorrow night.
No. Oh, you're going tomorrow night?
Yeah. If you want to come?
You did mention that.
Yeah. Jump in our car.
Is it tonight's Monday. Tonight would have been cruise night. Would have been free.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot. Oh well.
Cruising for a bruise.
Well, that's a good point of this episode though. Is Ocean Beach is cool, but the price ain't.
So the one thing about Ocean Beach I have to respect is that if you're a resident, it's like $35 for the year.
Yeah, of course you take advantage.
So I feel like they're trying to keep it in house, which is cool and all, but then you're having all these public events, which is going to cost an arm and a leg to go to. So it's like I don't see I know inflation. I understand inflation, but make things $10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? $10 is still something like, wow, okay, this is a commitment. I'm still spending $10 to step into this. It's not $10 is going to get me free ice cream and free rides.
Yeah.
It's going to get me $10 for a free beach at night.
Yeah.
Which for most people ain't going to be much. You know what I mean? Because you're really not going to do that. You have to pay money for the other things. So in my opinion, it's $35, $20 is a lot.
I feel the point I think you're almost touching on is that
not there yet.
No, you've made it. You're right. You're exactly right. But the one that I'm leading towards is that obviously there's trash people on the planet. They're gonna go and they're the ones that's gonna bring all their beer bottles and make a huge mess.
Well, I was gonna do that tomorrow. I was gonna take all these beer cans.
You're gonna say
throw them.
$200 is not enough to keep an asshole away.
Take this, Ocean Beach. They even charge for walk-ons.
How do they even police that?
Well, you can sneak in the mini golf.
Well, how do you park? How do you get into the parking?
You have to walk through the parking lot.
I
don't know. I'm just guessing, but
well. Anyway, yeah, you're right though. Yeah, so there's an access. There's an access factor.
Yeah. Yard goats. I was afraid yesterday because the yard goats, the parking situation.
Yeah,
I'm not good with parking, especially that big car that I have now.
Yeah,
I freak out. in my old age, I freak out. I want something that's Dodge Stadium I like because it's, you can park, no problem. You walk, no problem. This I couldn't find a lot. I'm darting in front of me. You know what I mean? Had a good time, but it was definitely a little bit
anxiety, huh? Yep. So that plays a factor in it.
Parking, yeah.
All right, what else you got?
Risk, like the risk and reward type thing. It was worth it because we had a very nice time. Then I started freaking out because, again, twice, the parking, my, parents can't walk it as well.
Yep.
So you have that. How far are you from the park? Because they're going to be stairs. So you're taking all these things in consideration with them as well as the kids. Now I have Charlie with me, Charlie at almost a year. And I'm looking at, we're in section 116. Guess what's in section 116 as well, that time of the day?
Right in the direct sun?
Bingo. But then I said to my mother, I said, but didn't you talk to people on the phone months ago when we got these tickets saying we're going to be in the shade? She said, yeah, I did, but they must have been. We get there. Row R was actually on the concourse. It's almost like in Dodge Stadium, there's like handicap seats. We had all of that row right there, which was perfect. We were in the shade. Charlie lasted 7.5 innings.
Wow, okay.
And then after he started fussing at that point, I said, let's get going. So we did. And we had a great time.
Yeah.
I had a Gatorade beer. It was pale ale shandy with lemonade from Thomas Hooker.
Okay.
With the goat on it. But it was a great time. But again, it's that like risk reward type thing that you're trying to balance out.
Yeah.
How much is parking? Are you going to be in the sun? Where like if you were a single man or a single woman or a single
thing,
then you would say, screw it. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go. I like it. I don't like it. Whatever. I'm going to But when you have other people to consider, it's a whole new ballgame.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's like the life you've been living for like the last 7 years, right?
Yeah, it's my ball and chains.
Yeah.
Or my balls and chains.
Your balls, yeah. Your basketballs. Okay, but you found some ways to work around. I mean, you're finding out what's not worth the risk.
Yeah, I mean, The thing is, I guess we're talking about, for me, living in the South Shore of Massachusetts, the big things are beaches and restaurants.
Yeah.
Are the big draws, right? So you have Plymouth, luckily enough, in my walking area, I have amazing restaurants. And talking about that, just as far as if I were a tourist, there's places that I probably would be drawn to that I would stay away from if I were, living in Plymouth, which I do. But there's a lot of really, if you're looking for like Dylan's Local in Plymouth, the Tasty, Honey Baby, all these different places that are Speedwell Tavern that are really, really, really great restaurants that are right around the block, which means for me, if I ever have a friend that says, I want to come up and go out to eat or something, easy to do. So, all right, it's only going to be like an hour and a half. Jackie's got the 3 kids.
Yep.
But it's okay because it's, so it's kind of like you have to always be thinking about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to make this work to make everybody happy?
Yep.
Not just me.
Right.
But everybody
exactly.
else. So I think that's kind of what a backyard road trip works like these days. And even if it's not an official backyard road trip that I'm writing about, but something that I'm going to hang out with friends. Sometimes it has to be, all right, I'm going to put the kids to bed. I'm going out then, or she's going out then, or whatever that might be like. But more or less, it's usually trying to manage everybody's schedule at the same time.
Yeah.
And also another thing that we have is, really cool beaches. So we have Long Beach in Plymouth, which is, the 3-mile spit out there of sand. We've been a few times this year. We haven't been out to the way end, but that's a really nice spot. White Horse Beach is also a really nice beach in Plymouth, and that's resident only now, which is a benefit for us because we're residents. We're able to use the beach, where unfortunately folks that are out of town are not able to use the beach. There's also a lot of free beaches in Plymouth. Nelson Park has a splash pad and has a beach there that rivals a lot of Long Island Sound beaches that you're in a bay type thing. And then as you go up the South Shore, some excellent restaurants like the Scarlet Oak Tavern. There's also, where was I the other day? Why can't I think of it now? I don't know if this is something that's coming down the pike here.
No one.
The Fours is a good like sports pub type place, but in Hingham, in Cohasset, Bia Bistro was really good. Also, 5 Main, like really good places to grab a bite to eat. So I feel like we're lucky in the South Shore about that, kind of having that options. as well as natural places to go to. So I think that's kind of happy for the kids, happy for the adults.
What would you be doing different now? I mean, eventually these little rugrats of yours are going to be old enough to defend for themselves.
Right, yeah.
What do you think your backyard road trips look like
we
then?
just push them out.
They go in the closet, not just the cat.
Not just the cat. All of them. I mean, with Tommy, we re-upped another, 8-10 years on that one. So it's still going to be a while.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think backyard road trips eventually going to have to start being around sports games. Like if the kids are playing in different towns or something, let's check this or that out. Like still trying to make it enjoyable for me. Right. So, okay, you're playing in this town that's 45 minutes away. What can I do for a hike or for something to eat or a brewery that I can make this enjoyable for myself as well?
Yep.
All right. So here's the question for you, Jim.
Yeah.
Backyard road trip. So, I live in Franklin. No, Jesus, I live in Franklin.
Franklin, Massachusetts.
Yeah. I live in Plymouth. There's a lot to do in Plymouth.
Yeah.
Norwich here, where I am, there's still a decent amount of things that one could do. Like if you bring folks to Norwich, you got Slater Museum, you got the falls that we've talked about. You've got
some one-offs to entertain for a week.
Yeah, you got some decent restaurants, stuff like that. The cemetery and the meadows. Franklin, I love Franklin. I think it's honestly like always love driving through Franklin, being at your house.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's very peaceful and serene. But what do you do for a backyard road trip in Franklin?
It's a good question. I think that we are very lucky. What I love about Franklin is it's got some great hiking. It's got Ayers Mountain and it's got Sprague Land Preserve. And those are two huge areas. With
How many years have we been talking about going to Sprague?
I know. We just need to do it together.
I know.
Teddy and I don't do too much in Franklin if we're...
He's a West Hartford type guy. Jeez.
I know. Yeah, he's really good.
Him and Noah Webster.
He cares more about playgrounds at the moment or things that's like, of course. Kid,
what makes a playground exciting to him? Like what made that place in West Hartford?
So West Hartford has this like
crocodile pit.
That'd be great. No, it wouldn't be. But it's got a lot of really cool. It felt like I was walking in a Disney theme park.
Wow,
that's how cool it was. It was just free and open.
They charge you $100 a head.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because it costs a lot of money.
You're over 2.5. All right, you're
out of here. You pay. No, they had the coolest feature was like this airplane ride that he really liked. And so it was like basically picture like a long frame. Yeah. Okay. And it's in the shape of an airplane. And you put him on this seat that's like, it's like a swing. Yeah. And you push him and he just slides down this huge long thing. Like he's flying an airplane. And then he can go back and forth on that. And
oh, that's cool.
He loved it. I mean, I've never seen it in the playground anywhere before. Of course, it means it's popular. I think there's two of them. But he just wants to go and fly the airplane. And he really, really likes it. So that was cool. So like for me, there's not a lot to really do in Franklin.
But you have your own backyard. You have a pond.
That's true. How cool is that? We try and do we try and do some stuff. We went swimming in the pond.
Really? Oh wow! You came out with all leeches all over.
We went to restock the pond with goldfish to help out with the algae, and so part of it was like we're gonna go in, and then we just it's really clear, and we had a beach at one point that's starting to grow grass in, but. So he likes that. He likes playing like.
But how neat is that to have that? Because I mean, so many people lucky. Can't.
Yeah. We got very, very lucky.
Say that.
No, not everyone has a pond in their house.
No.
We got a lot of land, so we try to go outside every day and do something. Get a sandbox. He's happy to kind of do anything out there.
And Teddy is, let's see, so he was born 2020.
Yeah, he's gonna be 3 in October.
Yeah, and that's a nice age because they're able to explore.
Yep.
And being the only one or the first one, or no matter what, there is like Tommy. I mean, Tommy, I feel like is even more of a COVID baby than Teddy. Even though Teddy was born in the year 2020, Tommy kind of like came into that walking stage where they're starting to kind of explore at a time when you can't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
You ain't going.
Right.
Yeah. So I feel like it's an interesting time for that exact age group of Tommy's kids. Tommy doesn't have kids yet, but I mean Tommy's peers.
Right, kids have Tommy's age.
Right.
Yeah.
Where I remember with Danny especially, at that age of 2.5, 3, they're walking, just the exploration, where Danny would
huge part of it.
Kind of take me and go, and point to the playground he wanted to go to, which was near the house. He'd walk me down there, and I loved, which Jackie couldn't really understand completely, but like I'd stay out for hours. and let him walk me wherever he wanted to go. I'm not too far from home. I know where I am.
Yep.
But we'd go like see the fish, or he would start to understand letters and like would point to like different like monuments or markers in the park and be like S, like having me like say the letters, and spent so long just doing that stuff. And it was just wonderful, kind of like
awesome
learning through him. And talk about a backyard road trip. That was literally in the backyard, or not literally the backyard, but right.
You and I's backyards are different. Yeah.
Yes.
That's okay.
And it was probably the same amount of time it took me to get there with you still stay in the same yard as your house.
You're right. You make a really good point about like, giving them the freedom to explore and change that. And it's great. You got like this great opportunity where like a lot of cool things are in walking distance.
Yes.
You can just sort of say like, let's just go explore, and it's protected exploring.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I love about like you're in your yard or we're at Brewster Gardens. There's a street here and a street a ways down, unless he sinks himself in the brook. Yeah. Which I've pulled him out of the brook twice. Never Tommy, surprisingly. I thought Tommy would be the first one to go in. Danny I pulled out of there twice.
Yeah.
But normally it's, pretty safe.
And one of the fun things that I like about a backyard road trip is particularly, I think, because like there isn't too much near me,
Yeah.
is that I have to do some research ahead of time.
Right, yeah.
And that's a lot of fun part of the whole experience. Is just to live up to like what I was like kind of looking for. So,
and you're still doing it in your greater Franklin or Eastern Central Connecticut area.
Right. We're not driving to Massachusetts to New York to do it. It's still in our area. You got to be a little bit of a detective.
Yes. And that's what's so cool about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out what this is. Or it could be a different theme. Let's say we're talking before about trees.
Yeah.
Maybe let's say Teddy is now 5 and he's more like, I want to go for a ride, whatever. And you want to check out all these different trees that you're talking about. You're able to do that. But you're being a detective to do that. It's not just like, all right, they're right there. I know where it is. And it's not just, and again, this is the whole idea of a backyard road trip. It's not just taking the kid to the arcade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just taking
a little more engaging and enriching.
Yeah. And just, like arcade's great, whatever, it serves its purpose. But between our Cape Cod little weekend we had, Danny was there a little bit earlier. We went to an arcade today. But just that's the idea that like the arcade's the easy bet, right? So you take the kid there, they spend, but you're blowing $20.
I know. Yeah. Yep.
Once in a while, that's okay. But it's finding those things that are not that are still enriching for both parties.
I think that's been like kind of a good thing is that if we were surrounded by a bunch of arcades, probably would have used a bunch of arcades.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're not means that like we have to get creative with like how we're gonna like be entertained.
Yep.
And I think that, like I'd love to hear your experiences. For me, the stuff that I'm into now is things I would never think. You talk to Jim from 10 years ago that you'd be interested in trying to grow a tree from the charter oak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you've always been creative.
I've never cared about trees. I've never cared about wanting to grow a garden or grow trees or things like that. But like these are things that are all sort of like because of Teddy, because of like my life circumstance now. And
but I think
are you into things that like now that you weren't into 10 years ago?
I am and I'm not. Meaning I've always been into travel. Yeah. And I've even always been into travel on the local level without knowing it, right? So I could say I want to go to take a trip to Washington, D.C., but if someone said, you want to take a trip to Willimantic and do this and that, I go to Hotel Hooker and,
right?
I'm like, all right, cool. So I've always been into that without knowing it.
Yeah.
But there's been certainly things that, through the kids that I've been able to kind of experience in different ways. But I feel like with you've always had a very creative side, whether it's music, even art a bit, whether it's woodworking or building stuff or, hot sauce or,
hot sauce,
brewing beer. It's always been a creative outlet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's fair. I feel like the trees is just an extension of that.
All right. Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Yeah, you're
even though it would be maybe not the most, like, it's a little bit of a right turn.
I think you're right. I think that's pretty astute. I think that maybe it's not something I would have predicted I would have been into, but it certainly was a path that I could have gotten into.
I think
that I'm pleased that I did because it's
right.
I'm happy with where things are right now,
And similar with me, even what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I didn't know about podcasting, but it's the idea of like, we used to play music in bands together and that was a creative extension. And this is a creative extension in a very different, not that different.
Yeah, you're right.
In a way.
Yep.
And I feel like through, maybe I don't play music, but I write, and that's still the same kind of thing.
Yep.
And I feel like that, all of that stuff, whether it's a podcast, whether it's writing, whether exploring, whatever that is for me, is much more fulfilling than maybe your day-to-day existence. Like, I need that part of my life.
You need that creative outlet.
I need the creative outlet. Yeah. It's a creative outlet that's inclusive, meaning I can bring the kids into it. Danny being on the podcast, man, doing the stuff. I feel like it's the same thing with you. Yeah, bringing Teddy into it. So it's not just like I'm playing a solo gig at the Shabu Revival and Willimantic, and nobody's allowed. But no, it's like anyone. So it's that kind of idea with still being satisfied in what you're doing.
I think that's great. That's really insightful. I think it's kind of cool that like we both grew up as creative guys, because I think that now makes probably both of us open to new experiences.
Right.
Like, imagine if we were just a couple of meatheads.
Yeah.
Who were only like into football.
Your glory days, like the Bruce Springsteen song. Like, yeah. Yeah, you're still living at that, Uncle Rico moment.
Yeah, exactly. But like you wouldn't be open to anything new, and it would suck for the kids. Like they wouldn't have any enrichment.
Nope.
And I think it's we have kids now, and that means we got to change things. But we're open to like fun. I don't care about looking for new playgrounds. That's a lot of fun for me.
Right.
I have nothing playing.
Right. So I guess one thing though, what surprised me, and this is going to be kind of the opposite of this, is I have become probably more of a meathead than I thought I ever would. And maybe you too. Football. Were you ever into football as a kid?
Never.
Me neither.
Never.
I started liking football when it was Sundays, and I was living in an apartment with some guys. Don't judge. So I was like, I
didn't take it.
Some
there.
Craigslist guys. This is actually true, but they
connections. Yeah,
they became friends. Good guys, and. What they would do, a lot of Sundays I'd be out and about. What they would do most Sundays, they would make a fire in the fireplace. Awesome. I love that idea.
Yeah.
And watch the Pats games.
Yeah.
And watch whatever other football games were on there. Maybe have a beer or two, eat, whatever. And I usually would be gone. Like I'd be out with friends or with, girlfriend or whatever. And I'd come in the few times I came home and just like maybe the Pats were playing a 4:00 game, and I was home a little earlier. Last little bit. Maybe they play in the 8:25 game.
You're home.
I was home, and I'm like, this is great. Like this is cool. And I got into football because of that kind of camaraderie.
Yeah.
And from that, and then watching games with Adam and Uncle Mark.
Yeah.
We'd watch at Billy Wilson's and stuff, and that got me into football. I was never into football as a kid.
Right.
My grandmother would watch it, and be on and be like, oh, what the hell is this? So it's kind of funny how some of that has become part of me that wasn't. And then I've got a son who plays football, which is insane.
Yeah, you never know what like the little thing in our lives is going to like lead to someone else down the road.
Right.
Yeah, that's really cool. Right.
And that was all, he just loves sports. But I'm saying that's kind of an interesting thing that's some kind of like normal part of, non-creative part has been fun.
Yeah. I'll say us being about 7 beers deep now, this has been pretty good drinking talk,
Half
that, yes. I shouldn't say that. Yeah, 7 total. Yeah.
Right.
It's been good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see what else.
Did we miss anything?
Well, your travel mantra. Do you have a travel mantra?
Yeah, I do. It's kind of a phrase I've been using. I used it with you when we did our event there.
Yeah.
In March. It's just meaningful travel on the local level.
Yes.
It's really that. And I think there is just so much to, if the region you live is a lemon, you squeeze the shit out of that lemon until every ounce of juice is in your glass.
That's very good.
It's like, that's what you do. And even like, I have a little challenge from our buddy Ian from our other podcast that we're working on. So Ian challenged me and I failed. I don't fail much, but I failed. We talked about this before, but Hanover, Connecticut, right?
Yes. To
do it. I said, I throw in the towel on this one. He said, okay, how about Ledyard, where he lives?
We found something for Hanover, didn't we?
We did, but it was like,
yeah, it's a sliver. Anyway, so
Ledyard. It was like a cemetery, right? Yeah. Or like someone. So he said, okay, how about doing some Ledyard?
Yeah.
So totally. So today on the kids slept in the car. I went to the up-down sawmill in Ledyard. Took a picture of that.
Isn't Lantern Hill in Ledyard?
I looked it up. It's technically, I think, in North Stonington. But I will do Mashantucket Pequot Museum. That's technically in Ledyard. I'm going to skip Foxwoods.
Sure.
But there's Glacial Park that we talked about with all the glacial erotics that are erotics all over over that place there. Holmberg's Orchards is a great place. I already have talked about that in the past. But like that's some cool stuff in Ledyard that you can do that's not Foxwoods.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like that's squeezing the lemon, squeezing all the juice out the lemon. And there's anywhere you live, that's it. And those are all meaningful things. If you go to Glacial Park, okay, cool, there's some boulders there. Why are there boulders there?
Yeah.
What made that? What's, why is this a special thing? How is this all related? Like that's cool questions to ask. That sawmill, why, so asking yourself questions about it, digging a little bit deeper into things, and that's kind of the meaningful part of it. And sometimes meaningful can mean a really good restaurant or a great tasting beer, or a cool playground. Because maybe I don't want to do those monkey bars, but maybe Teddy does. That's meaningful to him. And you ain't slighting Teddy, you ain't slighting Tommy.
Right.
Those guys know what they want, and that's great. And that's I think that so that's the mantra.
I like that. It can mean actually going to the casino if that's your dream. When we were 20, that's what we wanted to do.
And we did it in an interesting way.
Yes.
We did it. We hung out, maybe had a cigar or two.
Absolutely.
And we just enjoyed it. It wasn't, we didn't get all dolled up, and there's a lot of phoniness in the world.
Yeah.
And I think to understand and to do things the way you want to do it, if you want to get dressed, go for it. Do as they say, do you. But if it's genuine, it's meaningful.
Oh, you're dropping bombs on this episode, man. This is great. All right. Well, this is. I'm going to say this is one of our better ones for sure. This is going to go in the top, the best of
under the Drews ones because he's got some.
Will you miss anything?
We talk about roadside attractions.
Oh yeah. I meant to ask you
you plan trips around a feature?
Yep.
I was just saying that this episode I think we've been talking about from South Shore into this area kind of segues summer into fall.
Yeah.
Because Hamlet agrees, he's crying. That crying annoys the hell out of me.
Does it? A barking dog, a crying dog.
Yeah, yeah. It's time to put down dogs.
Give them some
call them old yellow
chocolate and let them out on the road.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about you? So roadside attractions or anything like you?
I think that Katie and I, if we try to keep like an open mind, if we're gonna pass something, we think that that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Hard. Because if you're doing like kind of fast, you don't want to slam on your brakes. So
no, but
we want to check stuff out. And she used to say that her dad would. They used to go on road trips all the time when they were younger.
Oh, really? Okay.
They go to Vermont like every weekend.
Did they take the back roads? My dad I used to think Stowe was 8 hours away because we take back roads the whole way.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I don't think they.
Yeah, literally back roads the whole way.
Wow.
Like, wait, it's only 4 hours. Yeah, it's 7 or 8 hours to take us.
Wow, that's so funny. No way.
Hey, we didn't stop anywhere. Maybe a diner to eat once.
Yeah, they would take a direct. They'd take the direct route. But her dad would say, "Hey, if you see anything you want to stop at, just let me know." And they'd say, "I want to see." Oh, you drove right past it.
Cool roadside attraction, Montville, Connecticut. Okay. Wells Dinosaur Land.
Yeah, the dinosaur place.
No.
What is Wells?
Teddy will enjoy this. Somebody's backyard. That it is right near the casino. You're on Route 32. And you're, where the New London Turnpike comes up in there, and Route 32 from like Norwich comes up in there before you get to like Sandy Hollow Road and stuff like that. On the right hand side, it's called Wells Dinosaur Land. It's literally somebody's backyard. You park right there. You walk all these gigantic dinosaurs that this guy has made, and it's been there for years. And you just walk. It's like maybe like I don't know 7 dinosaurs or so, and you walk, and it's free, and it's just like. It's just so cool. And like we talked to, it's just his backyard and it's like.
It's in someone's backyard?
Mm-hmm. Or like side yard, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And he doesn't mind people.
No, I think like there's something like, I don't know if you can look it online or something that might say like, hey, send me a text before you're coming or something, but it's like parking spots, you go.
Wow. That's something I've never heard of.
Yeah.
That's been under our noses
right
for
there.
The last
That's what I'm talking
years.
About. And
that's
so
crazy.
And how cool would Teddy like dinosaurs?
He'd love that.
He would love it. That. Yeah, it's super close. Take 32.
Zach, you're dropping lots of value stuff today.
How about Muffler Men? You like Muffler Men?
Elaborate.
Big Joe from Surplus Unlimited, the big cowboy.
Yeah.
You got one in Middletown or Salem area with the lumber. So it's a muffler man. They used to be advertised for like a gas station, and they've become part of roadside attractions, roadside America. The big bowling pin is also one that's Norwich Bowling.
Do you guys try and stop at some roadside attractions if you're driving, or you keep to an itinerary?
A lot of times when we're driving places, we kind of know we've been there before.
Yeah.
So more than that, I would try to do some research ahead of time.
Yeah.
And say, hey, let's go to this town, and there would be a really cool ice cream stand, restaurant, brewery, nature place, whatever that might be, just to check out something else in that spot. So that's kind of the thing. It's less of, oh, this is something brand new. But we have, like I remember we went for our first anniversary 9 years ago now, but we stayed at an inn in Western Connecticut because we did that for our when we got married. But there was a time for Beckley Furnace. Okay. And it was this amazing blast furnace that was used to, for iron production in the Northwest Hills of Connecticut. And it was really well preserved. And there we go to the Beckley Furnace that we saw a sign that said iron furnace. Let's go down there. And so we do in that kind of place, but it just has to be the right spot.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be conducive to
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about being prepared for the region that you're traveling in.
Yeah.
So you kind of know that if, probably, and I've told you this before, I had planned to take Teddy to Bartholomew's Cowboy.
Right, yeah.
And then it rained. And it was cloudy. It's like, this isn't worth doing.
Yeah.
But because, I also knew the region, I knew that we weren't too far from Mount Greylock. I was like, let's go there. And that was one of the top experiences of my life.
Right.
So being spontaneous, but also having sort of done some research ahead of time.
Yeah.
Exactly. It really made for a great experience.
Yeah, and again, it's that meaningful travel.
Yes.
I think it just exactly boils down to that. And, again, taking the kids to the arcade today was like taking the kids to slot machines.
Yeah.
And you blew $20 pretty easily, and you're racking up those points, and it's super cool. You put those points in, and guess what you get? Like a little squishy, 2-centimeter dog. And that's great. But it really feeds that kind of behavior.
Yep.
And it's just kind of an interesting thing. And there's a time and place for that. And once in a while, will I take them to it? Absolutely. But it's finding a balance between that and, because that's instant gratification.
Right. And that's over as soon as it's over. Right?
And sometimes backyard road trips don't work out. I always talk about the Tidmarsh story, where I went to this place called Tidmarsh in Plymouth. They recently opened as part of the Audubon Society. Opened it up. It was an old cranberry bog and had a lot of history to it. They redid it. It was trails. Supposed to be beautiful. I took Danny. He was about 3.5. We went twice. We went the first time, not a backyard road trip, but just to go. Him and his buddy. They made it halfway around the first pond. They were complaining, freaking out, whatever it was. We turned back. Then I decided to take Danny. We came back from whatever trip we took in April. Said, me and you, let's go out. Let's do this. Let mommy sleep. We went there. He made it, 20 yards into the place. He was dancing on a rock. He was throwing around a stick. And then he was complaining. And we had to go back. They don't all work out.
Yeah.
But that's life,
Yeah.
So
it's a good grounding way to think about it. It's
right.
not all going to be home runs.
And it needs to be, especially if you're with kids, it needs to be on their accord.
Sure. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if they're not digging it, then it's just going to suck. You can't force
it.
Yeah. You can't force fun.
You can't force fun. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you might see, maybe they're dancing on the rock. Let them dance on the rock. And
yeah.
That's it. If they are not having fun at Disney World, that's a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
But if they're not having fun at a nature sanctuary,
so understandable.
Yeah. So be it.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. This has been a great episode. Yeah. Man. Excellent.
Totally.
Well, thanks for sharing your wisdom and your thoughts on stuff. This is very good.
Well, thank you for being so handsome, first of all.
Thank my mom and dad.
And for the Golden Knights World Series champions, right?
I'm wearing my Eric Stone shirt from Dr. Eric Raymond.
Fun fact, Marchessault for that team, Jonathan Marchessault, I have a shirt from his Springfield days, minor league, in my closet. Unless the dog or the cat just leaked all over it, but probably...
It's been destroyed.
It has been destroyed.
It's now in the incinerator.
Yeah. I'm Zach.
I'm Jim.
This is the Backyard Road Trips podcast. You can follow us at backyardroadtrips.com. or at social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.